The morning began like so many others, quiet and ordinary, the kind of morning that carries no promise of change. Sunlight slipped gently through the thin curtains, resting softly on the wooden floor as dust floated lazily in the air. The house was silent except for the faint ticking of an old clock that had been hanging on the wall longer than anyone could remember. Outside, the street was calm, as if the world itself was still waking up. Emma sat at the small kitchen table, her hands wrapped around a cup of coffee that had already gone cold. She wasn't drinking it. She was thinking. She often did that in the mornings, staring into nothing, allowing memories to rise without invitation. Some memories were kind. Others were sharp. Today felt like it might be one of those quiet days where nothing special happened, the kind that blended into the rest of life without leaving a mark. She stood up slowly and walked toward the front door, reaching for her coat. As she opened the door, a cool breeze brushed her face, carrying with it the scent of damp pavement and fallen leaves. That was when she saw it. A single envelope lay on the doorstep. At first, she didn't react. Mail arrived every day. Bills, advertisements, things that asked for attention but gave little in return. She bent down and picked it up, already expecting to feel the familiar disappointment. But something stopped her. The envelope was old, not just old in time, but old in feeling. The paper was slightly yellowed, the edges worn, as if it had traveled a long way. The handwriting was careful, almost hesitant, written by someone who had taken their time with each letter. Her name was written there, clear and unmistakable, Emma. Her fingers tightened around the envelope. A strange feeling settled in her chest, heavy and warm at the same time. She knew that handwriting. She had not seen it in many years, but the memory of it lived somewhere deep inside her. She stepped back into the house and closed the door quietly, as if afraid the moment might disappear if she made too much noise. Sitting down at the table again, she placed the envelope in front of her. She stared at it for a long time, longer than necessary. Her heart was beating faster now, though she wasn't sure why. The return address was unfamiliar. The stamp looked faded, like it had been printed in another time. Her mind began to race, searching through the past, opening doors she had kept closed for years. Slowly, she slid her finger under the edge of the envelope and opened it. Inside was a letter. The paper inside was folded carefully, as if someone had handled it with respect. As she unfolded it, the smell of old paper reached her nose, bringing with it a flood of memories. Her eyes moved to the first line, and suddenly, the room felt smaller. The letter began simply, without decoration or apology. Dear Emma, if you are reading this, then the letter has finally found you. I don't know how much time has passed. I don't know who you have become. But I have carried these words with me for many years, hoping they would reach you one day. Emma felt her breath catch. She knew who it was from now. Her hands trembled slightly as she continued reading. It was from Daniel. Daniel had once been everything to her. A friend, a comfort, a dream she believed would last forever. They had grown up together in the same small town, walking the same roads, sharing the same secrets. He was the one who knew how to make her laugh when she wanted to cry. The one who understood her silence better than anyone else. Then one day, he was gone. No goodbye. No explanation. Just absence. For years, Emma had wondered what happened. She had searched for answers in memories, in conversations, in the spaces where his voice used to be. Over time, the pain had dulled, but the questions remained. Life had moved on, as it always does, carrying her forward whether she was ready or not. And now, here he was again, speaking to her through ink and paper. The letter continued, "I've written this letter many times in my mind, but writing it on paper feels different. Harder. More honest. I left without explaining, and that is something I regret every day. I was young and afraid, and I thought running away was easier than staying and facing the truth." Emma closed her eyes for a moment. The truth. That word echoed inside her. She remembered the last day she saw him. The sky had been grey, heavy with rain. He had smiled, but it hadn't reached his eyes. She had sensed something was wrong, but she hadn't known how to ask. She had trusted that he would come back. He never did. The letter went on, each sentence opening another memory. I was given an opportunity that scared me more than it excited me. Leaving felt like betrayal, but staying felt like drowning. I told myself I would come back soon, that I would explain everything. But days turned into weeks. And weeks turned into years. The longer I waited, the harder it became to reach out. Emma felt tears gather in her eyes. She had lived those years too. Years of wondering, of imagining 1,000 different endings. She had told herself she didn't care anymore, that she had moved on. Yet here she was, holding proof that some part of her heart had been waiting all along. I don't know if you ever thought of me after I left. I don't know if my name still lives somewhere in your memory. But I want you to know that you were never forgotten. Not for a single day. The tears fell freely now, landing softly on the paper. She didn't wipe them away. She let them fall, each one carrying something she had never allowed herself to feel. The letter spoke of Daniel's life after he left. Of cities that felt too large, of nights filled with loneliness despite being surrounded by people. He wrote about mistakes, about learning lessons the hard way, about realizing too late what truly mattered. He wrote about her. There were moments when I wanted to write to you. I even did, but I never sent the letters. I told myself you were better off without me, that reopening old wounds would only bring pain. But silence has its own way of hurting, and I've learned that regret grows stronger when ignored. Emma leaned back in her chair, the weight of the words settling deep within her. She had built a life since then. A quiet life, filled with routines and responsibilities. She had loved again, lost again, learned how to stand on her own. But some part of her had remained untouched, frozen in the moment he left. The letter was not asking for forgiveness. It was not asking for anything at all. It was simply telling the truth, long delayed but finally spoken. If you choose not to respond, I will understand. This letter is not meant to change your life. It is only meant to tell you that I am sorry, and that what we shared mattered more to me than I ever knew how to say back then. Emma reached the end of the page, her fingers tracing the last line. Wherever you are, I hope you found happiness. You always deserved it. She folded the letter carefully and held it against her chest. The room felt different now, filled with something unfamiliar but not unwelcome. It felt like closure. Or maybe like a door opening, just slightly. She stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the street. The world was still moving, still alive. People passed by, unaware of the quiet moment unfolding inside her small home. For a long time, Emma had believed that unanswered questions were something to be feared. But now she realized that answers, even late ones, had power. They didn't erase the past, but they softened its edges. She didn't know if she would write back. She didn't know what she would say if she did. But for the first time in many years, she felt at peace with the silence that had once haunted her. She placed the letter in a drawer, not to hide it away, but to keep it safe. It was part of her story now, a reminder that some words travel long distances, not just through space, but through time. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the house filled with shadows, Emma made herself a fresh cup of coffee. She sat at the table again, this time drinking it slowly, thoughtfully. The clock still ticked on the wall, but it no longer felt lonely. Life, she realized, was full of letters that never arrived on time. Some came too early. Some came too late. But when they finally reached us, they had the power to change how we remember everything that came before, and sometimes that was enough. I share stories like this every day to help you improve your English through emotion, imagination, and real-life feeling. Subscribe so you don't miss the next story.